All right, we need to call this meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Livingston Parish Council, our regular meeting for February 22nd, 2018. Everyone please stand. Mr. Lobell.
Brother Dane Blankenship's going to say the occasion for us tonight. The community church is pretty cool. I appreciate you being here, Brother.
Thank you, sir.
Let's pray together. Lord Jesus, we love you so much, and we need you. We thank you for your grace and your mercy. Lord, we thank you for our council, our parish president. Please give them your wisdom and your guidance as they make every decision. Please bless their families and strengthen them as they strengthen us. Lord, we pray that you'll be with our schools, with the principals, administrators, teachers, workers, and the students. Please be with them every single day. And Lord, with every family inside our parish, I pray that you'll give them wisdom and give them success and prosperity. And thank you for such a great place to live in Louisiana. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Amen. Mr. Garland.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I'd like to remind everyone, if you have a cell phone, please turn it off or mute it. When we get to something, we're going to allow public input, so if you want to speak on anything that we're discussing, please come to the podium, give us your name and address, and we'll allow you time to speak. We don't have any presentation. Number 8, adopt the minutes from the February 8, 2008.
Roll call will pass.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, roll call.
Yeah, we did that.
Mr. Ard?
Here.
Mr. Watson?
Here.
Mr. Greenhouse?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Harris?
Here.
Mr. Talbert?
Here.
Mr. Liddell?
Here.
Mr. Avery?
Here.
Mr. Mack?
Here.
Thank you.
Adopt the minutes from the February 8, 2018 regular meeting of the council.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Loscombe, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, this time I'd like to ask that I could get a motion to lift the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Girling.
What's it for? Don't worry about it. You figure to find out.
Well, you can't let the agenda unless it's unanimous.
He's in front of you. He's sitting right there in front of you.
Well, I think it's important that you say what it's about. I mean,
It's about the acceptance bid for the assessor's bill.
okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, agenda's been lifted.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Council. We need to ask you, if you would, to accept the low bid for the Delmacell Taylor Governmental Annex Building to John Blunt General Contractors for a low bid, and I don't have my glasses on, $3.269, I believe that is, that million. And I would ask y'all to approve that.
I'll make a motion by Mr. Talbot,
Second.
second by Mr. Wascom. Any discussion? Any discussion from the audience? Ms. Sandy, call for the vote.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. Watson?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. Liddell?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
And need to change. All right, I need a motion to go back into the regular meeting.
Motion.
Mr. Avery makes a motion. Mr. Lobell seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Good.
Good.
All right, Parish President report.
All right, I'm coming with a change order for the Delmacell Taylor Annex Building, but this is a good change order.
Very quick.
Well, yeah, really. This is a change order for some items. They felt like they could reduce and restructure some items on the project that actually reduces the cost by $817,000 plus. So I would ask y'all to approve that change order.
I'll make that motion.
All right, motion made by Mr. Avery, second by Mr. Harris. Is there any discussion from the council? Any discussion from the audience?
Save the money, that's what we want.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Council. A little update, item B. I had asked and spoke a little bit last meeting about asking for a possible resolution tonight in support of a letter dealing with the Laurel Ridge levy. As it turns out, we just got the studies from Ascension Parish to the engineers yesterday to review. So I'm not going to ask for a resolution tonight, but a little update on it. Homeland Security Director Mark Harrell, along with Fort Nevada, attended a meeting at Representative Clay Shakesnyder's office the other day, where Ascension's engineers did come and did a presentation. I felt like it was a little fluff and not the real study. I have talked to Ascension Parish President Matassa and asked for the study, which they have now provided. And Fort Nevada has it and are reviewing it, and hopefully will have a report back to me by the middle to the end of next week. When I get that information, I will send it to you all in an email so that you know what I know. And on a little side note, I am still inclined to want to stop it, or at least slow it down until we're very comfortable, which I don't think they can make us very comfortable that it's not going to adversely affect us. So I have been in conversations with Mr. Moody and with District Attorney Scott Perilou regarding the possibility of filing a lawsuit. It's a little premature to ask for that support tonight because, again, I don't have the information from the engineers yet. But just to keep you in the loop so that you know what we're doing and what we're looking at. The original report stated 3/4 of an inch. I think that's a little misleading because once it accumulates down in Lake Marpole, Lake Pontchartrain, and wind changes, it's going to be a lot more devastating to us. They're now trying to say that it's not going to be 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to review the information. I'll get that information back to you all as soon as I get it, and then we'll proceed from there. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
All right, number 10, Office of Homeland Security. Okay,
Can I say one more thing?
This is another update on the road program. We have now completed all the survey work. The design phase has taken place. A little optimistic, but we're hoping to hit the ground with some asphalt starting around June the 1st, about the time school is ending, and hopefully have a good 2.5, 3 months with school out to be able to really do a lot of good work. So that's where we are on that, which is, I think, good news for all of us.
Where are we at on the bid process? I know that, have we advertised for bids yet? Have they come in yet?
They've not come in yet. I'm not sure if they've actually sent those out yet or not. They may have. I'll have to check with Sam on that. But I know the survey work is.
Who do I need to talk to about getting the final list for those roads?
Do what now?
Getting the list. I want to get another copy of the list for those.
Okay, we can provide that.
Can you do that for me,
Yeah,
please?
yeah, absolutely. We'll do that.
Will they be divided by districts also? Will they be divided by districts?
No, they're listed in their
In
priority.
alphabetical order?
No, well, the priority.
Priority, okay.
Yeah.
You can't go by.
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
All right. We'll move on to number 10, Planning Department.
No.
Sam, we're going to pull this, Gary.
Yeah, this was,
Yeah, we're still waiting.
we deferred this the last meeting. We're just going to table this deal, and if we need this item to come back up, we'll bring it back. But right now, just table it and make it go away, and then if we need to bring it back up, we will.
All right.
I agree.
We'll move on to number 12. I think we've also had to pull it.
Yeah, I didn't get the resignation letter from the guy yet, so I'll have that for next meeting.
All right, number 13.
Wait, I got reappointments.
Oh, you got it. Yep.
I want to reappoint all 3 members that were expiring, Ms. Tracy McRae, Mr. Brett Beard, and Mr. James Brandon Clark, to serve till February 13th of 2023. So Livingston Parish Rec District 2.
All right.
I'd like to make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Tyler, second by Mr. King. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Now, number 13, introduction of ordinance. Mr. Shane Mack.
Thank you.
Hot seat is yours.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, this ordinance modification is really just about developing the commercial projects the way that they should be developed and making sure that all parties, the developers, the parish, and the constructors are all on the same page about the requirements of our parish and the plans and everything. So What we're doing is we're modifying the construction procedure to require a pre-construction meeting of all parties, the parish review engineer, the planning director, the constructor, the developer, and what they can do in that meeting is go over the intents, the plans, if anybody has any questions, that type of thing. We've had developments in the past where in some of the residential subdivisions where maybe some utility lines maybe got put in a drainage right-of-way. We've had roads that were constructed and maybe we didn't have a inspector out there at the time, and maybe the constructor didn't really realize, maybe he didn't read every single word in every single ordinance we have, and he didn't know, and that caused a lot of issues, between just issues in the development. Okay, gets a lot of money involved when people go to develop this property. So this is all about getting it right. Okay, so these modifications, we're gonna have a pre-construction meeting between all parties and make sure all questions are answered. The next section is that was section A. Section B is about having an inspector and having the developer, constructor call in at different phases. Almost kind of like when you're building a residential house. You before you pour your slab, you call in, you get an inspector out there. They kind of go over everything. If there's a mistake, made by maybe the engineer or the constructor, things happen. You can catch it before it's too late. So that's what that's about. Have an inspector out there at different phases of the construction, especially when it comes to utility construction, drainage construction, roadway construction, those type of things. We've got to try to start getting that right to develop our parish the way we want it to be developed, the right way. So that's what this one's about. This was actually a recommendation by the planning director several months ago, but we wanted to look at it and talk about it and study it and make sure we got the wording right, and we feel pretty good about it. And I'm asking for your guys' support to adopt it. And not tonight. We're introducing it tonight for public hearing, and then it'll be on the next agenda. I guess Sandy's got it rated.
Yes, Sandy does read that title.
This will be proposed.
Sir?
Can I make a comment before we make a motion and read it?
No, wait.
I mean, of course, this information, is public. We've gotten a lot of, feedback from people. I'm just, before we set a date to have the, to debate it as a council and then vote on it, I think that if we put all three of these on one meeting without going through a committee so that the public can come comment on some of these aspects, we're getting ready to have a long, drawn-out meeting. So I would like to recommend that we can set a date, but we need to be sure when we set that date that we've had ample time to have a couple committee meetings to be sure that there's been enough time for the public to come speak on some of these changes and some developers come speak on some of these changes. Because I believe if we don't, we're getting ready to set ourselves up for one of those long council meetings.
That's perfectly fine. I mean, that's a wonderful idea. We've tried to have those types of committee meetings in the past. It's a lot of trouble getting us all together. We've had them and the public not show up. And that's perfectly fine. They're welcome to come next meeting and talk about it, and we could postpone it if y'all want to. But this was something that I really think is necessary. Maybe we don't have the word just right, and if y'all want to postpone it, I'm perfectly okay with that.
I'm not an objection to it. I'm just saying that I think that at some point in time we've got to have some opportunity, for people who have some issues to come speak. Otherwise, we're going to have three ordinances back to back at the same meeting that they're going to have different people want to come speak on. It's going to draw the meeting out. So, it might be in our best interest to introduce these things maybe instead of the next meeting, the following meeting. That way you've got 2 off weeks and you could maybe have 2 different committee meetings to address it. That's all I'm saying.
That's perfectly fine. I noticed some changes or some mistakes in the minor subdivision ordinance. Believe it or not, I want to pull it. So if y'all want to pull that one and move forward with these two,
Well, I'm just going to tell you, one of the
They
concerns.
need to come through the ordinance committee
Well,
before they come to
I'm
us.
just going to tell you, I'll just tell you what,
they don't have to.
the,
But they
there's
need
the strike
For the
down, I'm going to tell you, under construction procedure, the striking of Ds, where we're going to eliminate the bond and eliminate the 18 months of maintenance by the contractor is a concern of a bunch of people who have read this thing and looked at it. So consequently, I'm just saying, there needs to be an open debate on some of this stuff, or we're going to debate it at a council meeting. It doesn't matter to me. I just think that everybody needs to be aware of what you're getting ready to be faced. So whatever the pleasure of the council is fine. I'm just saying it might be to our best interest to have a committee meeting and let people who have a genuine concern come speak about it, and then maybe we can resolve some issues before we come in the whole council and end up with a 3 or 4 hour meeting. That's all I'm saying.
Well, if you know who some of these people are, make sure.
I mean, the people that contact me,
We'll make sure that they know about it and tell them.
I mean, if we set a committee meeting up, I got a phone call on the way over here, and I said, look, we're introducing them tonight. You don't have to show up tonight, because nobody's going to talk about anything. We're just introducing. So I think that there's some people that have some desire to speak. We just need to give them the opportunity. Or if you want to, we can speak at the council meeting. That's fine with me. I wanted everybody to be aware that I think that there's going to be some.
I mean, you're more than likely correct. But we can still introduce them tonight, and
Well, I
if we
agree.
have to, table whichever one we want to at that meeting, and do it the next meeting. We can stagger out. I don't think there's a problem in introducing.
Oh, I guess what I was saying is if you knew when you might be able to have a committee, we could be sure to introduce them for afterwards, but we can do whatever.
To be quite honest with you, I thought everybody would be in agreement with this because I've talked to a lot of developers that wasn't 100% sure of all the rules, felt like they were following the rules, and then after they done spent the money to develop, they kind of were caught between a rock and a hard place.
It happened to
The planning
They're the one
department, the
that might-
planning director, this came from them. And to me, taking that out, if you do actually get the inspectors out there that know exactly how we want it done and they can inspect at the right phases of the project, it takes a lot of the liability off of the developer, you know? So I felt like they would be for it. It puts it more on us to make sure that we're following our process and that we're inspecting it correctly. But it's really up to y'all. Whatever y'all want to do.
I'm definitely confident that every developer out there wants to eliminate the 18-month maintenance and the 24-month bond. It's the citizen and some of the people that are looking out for the tax dollars that are more concerned about that. You're not going to find a developer against the strike on D. I think you're going to have some citizens want to come speak on it. That's all I was saying.
Fine with me.
Is there a motion?
One
No,
other
I'm not supposed, she ain't even ready. I just supposed to-
Shane, one other thing, read by title.
Yeah.
This will be proposed ordinance 18-02, amendments to amend chapter 13, plan development, section 13-50.2, construction procedures, parts B, C, and D of code ordinances and for the parish of Livingston. The public hearing would be March the 8th.
You don't want to do the 22nd?
Look, let's have an ordinance committee meeting. We'll schedule it, and I hope and pray that the citizens show up that are concerned, because I want to get this right. So let's just postpone it.
Let's say
set it
we
for
can introduce it for
22nd.
the 22nd, and that gives you 4
That
weeks
gives you a whole
to have a
month.
committee meeting.
Yeah.
Okay?
Let's
That
set it
sounds
for the
good to me, too.
22nd, March 22nd.
22nd, 6 p.m.
I make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Garlinghouse. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. Move on to the next one, Mr. Knight.
Thank you. Okay. This one here also is about getting our requirements in writing within the ordinance so that all parties are aware of the requirements. Currently, when we're building these commercial developments, residential subdivisions and stuff, to the best of my knowledge, we're stamping the plans and everything to follow our ordinances and our requirements and to build the road to DOTD highway requirements, okay? And it's on the plans to the best of my knowledge, and I can be corrected by Parish review engineer if that's not right. But we had some people question that, because we didn't actually have this in writing in the ordinance. And so that's all that's about. We just kind of went in and stuck that little section in there about, you see what the underlined section is on page 14? It says, and to abide by the regulations, DOT standard specifications for roads and bridges. This is really just about getting it right, building it right, so it lasts for a long time, so we can conserve the taxpayers' dollars and have good quality roads and bridges. That's what that's about. Like I say, we're already stamping the plans to make sure that it's done that way. We just kind of want to take the gray or take the conflict or make sure that, we were, had it where we needed to have it. So that's what that ordinance is about. If y'all want to introduce that tonight, does everybody feel good about that?
That's for the 8th, right? We'll read it for the 8th.
Sandy, you want to read?
This will be proposed ordinance 18-03. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 13 Plan and Development, Section 13-4.1 Street Standards, Part A, to include the criteria and regulations of the latest edition of Louisiana DOT standard specifications for roads and bridges of the code of ordinances in and for the parish of Livingston. The public hearing will be held at 6 p.m. on March the 8th.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbot, second by Mr. Abel. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. All right, you said you were going to pull 15, Shane?
Yeah, because believe it or not, I found a mistake, and I left out a section that we need to be in there.
Yeah, I think maybe.
And, well, I mean, I tried to get it right.
There's a bunch of stuff on there you got me working on.
It's not a bunch.
It is.
And so I want to pull it, talk to you guys a little bit more about it, and then get it right. Because if we try to introduce it tonight with those mistakes, it's going to cost a lot of extra work on Sandy to try to go back and modify it. And it's just
You
really,
just get it right and
we're
then get
getting
it
it
to
right. Give us a couple, 2 or 3 more weeks. We're going to get it right, and that's what's going to be best. So
You're right.
Sorry.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
You don't have to apologize. It's hard. It ain't easy.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. For,
If it was easy, I can do it.
thank y'all for being understanding with that.
Probably not.
Watch it now.
All right, number 16, speed limit reduction to be set at 20 miles an hour on all roads at Creekside Estates, located on Dunn Road. Mr. Scooter.
Yeah, I got a call from the head of the HOA in Creekside, and she asked me what they should be, and so I called over Miss Sandy here, and she said, well, they should be posted at 20 in subdivisions. Isn't that correct, what you got? Well, there's all of the signs in their subdivision say 25, but one that says 20. So they asked me if we would make it's going to be a resolution, it's got to be by ordinance, resolution, to lower their speed limits to 20, and they're having speeding problems, and I explained to them, changing the sign is not going to cure this. And it's going to be a waste of taxpayer money, but if that's what you want, I'll see if the council will go along with it. So I'd like to make a resolution just to change all the streets, you got the list, to 20 miles per hour in Creekside Estates.
You want to read the
You don't
resolution?
need to read that. That just needs to go to DPW says change it.
All right, got a motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Harris. Any comments from the council? Any from the audience? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, 17, resolution to amend the council office policy, procedure, and manual. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to every councilman, so I'm going to table this, and we'll table it to the next meeting. 17B has been pulled, and 17C and D we're going to combine. The letter of no objection procedure and the procedure for alcohol permit application and renewals.
I got a question. I had an issue with the letter of no objection because the one was issued in my district. And I mean, so if somebody comes to the council and asks for a letter of no objection, that's granted automatically. Meaning that, am I correct, Sandy, if they come to y'all's office, y'all give them a letter? And sometimes you don't even know the event's scheduled and a letter of no objection, so there was nobody asked about it, so nobody knew to object to begin with. So my question is, I know we're not a police jury anymore, so, you know, it's a unified parish situation. So can we issue a letter of no objection before the council votes to issue a letter of no objection? Or can we give a cursory call to the councilman's district that the event's in to ask if he has an objection? What is the desire of the council? But I think
At least you would know.
you know, at least that, you know, either the councilman that has the event in his area ought to at least be aware that there's going to be a nonprofit asking for a special event permit to sell alcohol. So I'm just wondering, does anybody have any thoughts on that? Or, I mean, I know if we come before the council for a vote, it's going to delay the process, but people will just have to.
It's a courtesy call.
I mean, that's in there, ain't it?
I think
Yeah, it's in there for a courtesy call to the council.
Is it a courtesy call?
It is in there.
It is on the new one. It wasn't.
Yeah, it's,
We've never had anything in place, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So
this is setting the criteria.
So we'll have something to go by,
So we
okay.
will know. And
so
then-
basically, you're going to make a call to the councilman, and okay.
I think that's easy. That'd make it. And then what if you didn't want that to happen?
Is the call to the council before or after you issue the letter?
That'd be before.
That'd be before.
It's not before, it's while.
Sounds like to me it's not within your power to stop it. They're just letting you know.
Oh, so you got to issue it no matter what?
So my
Yeah.
question is, how do you call a letter of no objection if nobody has the ability to object? I mean, that's the issue. I mean, because basically what you're saying is that we're going to grant them no matter what. So why do you call it a letter of no objection? Because you don't have the right to object.
Can you
Go ahead.
explain it?
Well, you technically could object. You wanted to. You could set that as your procedure. Everybody comes to the parish council for consideration, you know.
I mean, because
That's a
basically,
good idea right there.
because basically the policy we're establishing right now is if somebody shows up, they get a letter, we're going to call the council and say, look, we just gave so-and-so a letter. And you're like,
This letter
How many of these
becomes
do
good
you
in 48
grant?
hours.
How many of these do you grant a year, off the top of your head, close ballpark?
15?
Oh yeah, and typically is it at least 2 weeks out? Is there a criteria, or could they say, hey, we want this for tomorrow?
Well, they have to go, we don't have a policy or ordinance in place for letters of no objection. So that's why we're trying to do this, to set something up so that the council person will know this is happening in case somebody
So
has.
it's probably something that's been bothering you about it too.
the state requires a letter of no objection from the parish to issue
The liquor permit.
a special events liquor permit.
Okay.
It's not a permit.
It's not a permit.
No, sir.
All it is the letter.
The state issues the permit, they have state law that mandates.
Yeah, I mean, the state issues a permit, but the state will not issue a permit unless you have a letter of no objection from the parish, from the
Okay.
governing authority. So in essence, in Livingston Parish right now, if you want a state permit, you just show up at the council office and you get a letter. And nobody ever has the ability to object.
I wouldn't have a problem with it bringing it to the council, but I wouldn't want to impede somebody who wants to do it, let's say 13 days out, and it's the day after we have a meeting.
Right.
And we can't have a meeting in time for them to have their event, and that would be
So I mean, that was, I
Problematic.
mean, and I understand, so that's why, I expressed I mean.
But if we don't do it before the letter's sent, then you might as well
Yeah.
not do it at all.
Yeah.
Just,
I mean, if you don't go before the letter's sent, then the state's gonna issue their permit. As soon as they get the letter, they go to the state to get their permit, and it's a mute point.
I don't
if
even
you
think it's
object.
about the vote. I think it's just if you know something's happening in your district and they need it within 10 days, and we're not meeting for 2 weeks because they called on Monday, we're closing.
Why don't you
Tell what our
Well, I
legal
mean,
position on this
Well, most
situation.
public bodies, they come and they have a list and they say, well, I approve all the requests in one deal. So, but I think in the past, this council has just decided, we end up granting them all anyway, so why make people wait? But this courtesy call could mean, if something came to you and said, these are a bunch of criminals and they ought not be getting the permit, I imagine Sandy would say, well, this needs to go to the council because the council district wants this to go to the council for approval. So in that way, you wouldn't have the veto power just by one councilman, but you would have the ability to at least refer it to the full council.
So the question is, can a courtesy call to a councilman make it be referred to the council, and if the councilman doesn't have an objection, then the letter's issued. I mean, what legally can we do?
That's why it was motivating the courtesy call, so in case you had a strong objection, it's going to be granted. If you have a strong objection, it'll be referred to the full council.
We can do what we want to do, right, Mr. Moody? I mean, if we want to modify the procedure to require them wait until we vote on it, or if we want to let the chair sign off on it, or right? Am I wrong? I mean,
Well, in general, you can't
Can we
make it-
deny the permit? Can we deny the permit?
You can,
Or letter of no objection?
you just can't set up a situation where one council person is the decider.
Oh, I mean,
In
I
case you
agree.
would be
I mean,
the
I agree with
decider,
that.
you would
That's
just
Just
be.
hold it up till the day after the
No, they can
event.
make a courtesy call. If there's no objection, then let him sign or let somebody sign. I mean, I don't know where.
Well, it would be granted unless you object, and if you do object, then it would come to the full council.
I guess the thing, I mean, Sandy, is it the same basic people every year that request it for the most part? So, I mean, I guess if we change our procedure, we could send a letter to those people, let them know you gotta do it a little earlier in the future. You know what I'm saying?
Wouldn't we need to adopt an ordinance, though, to say that the council has authority? There is nothing in place right now for a letter of no objection or special event.
Well, right, we ought to have, if that's going to be your policy, then we ought to do something like that.
I mean, so I guess my question now is, we've been issuing letters of no objection without an ordinance that allows us to even issue.
Right, I'm not sure that, I haven't looked at the state statute in a while, and if it's like others, it doesn't specify who has to give this letter of no objection. It could come from the parish president in some instances. I don't know this, I haven't looked at this statute
It just
recently.
says the local governing authority.
Yeah, so, I mean, theoretically, you could authorize the parish president to do it, or your other clerk, at her discretion. And if she feels like there was some reason to delay it, then she could say, I'm not comfortable granting this, it's got to go to the full council. So, frankly, I don't see what the problem in making them wait, as long as you let them know in advance.
Most of them give you the time in advance to object it?
Most of them, yes, sir. They have to tell us where it's gonna be, how many days. It can't be any longer than 3 days at the most, what it's for, what they're be serving or selling, and the address where it's gonna happen.
I think what he's meaning, do they come 2 months ahead of time or? Okay.
Sometimes I know
Yeah,
more
that's
than
what I'm-
12 can be issued
Yeah,
in
that's what
one
I was
calendar
asking.
year.
It's probably for the reason that the state says, we're okay with giving this permit, but if the parish has a reason why, we don't want to give it. So we have ordinances in place. If there's a reason why we wouldn't issue the permit, we would stop it before it even goes to the state. They just want to know that we were okay with it. That's the purpose, the reason they want a letter of no objection. So
That's what she's saying, we don't have anything in place.
Not for a special
I
event.
think depending on what the permit would be used for, the state could actually override the council. You know, if we tell them, no, we don't want it.
Not if their law says it has to have that letter of no
You
objection.
gotta have a letter from the government.
They can't override
They
us.
can't override that.
So here's the thing. I mean, pretty much we've been out of the loop the whole time, so we either keep ourselves out of the loop or we make them come before us. There's like 15 of them a year. I'm good either way, but if you want to make it come before us, then make it come before the government, and so be it. I mean, that will be the
Far
thing.
enough ahead to be able to.
And they
She
do-
says they already do that.
Most of them do.
start-
We just got the
Yeah.
one for Tickfall 200.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's, what, 3 months away. So, I
May
mean,
5th is 6th and 8th, whatever.
we got 2 for John Snyder. I mean, the ones that normally do it, they do. They get here early. You know,
Yeah,
Well, it's good
it's
for
the
them.
ones
They
that
plan it, yeah.
plan a big event and they don't have no idea till 7 days before the event. Oh, you mean I gotta have that? And they're running up here trying to get it. That's the ones
That's
that's
gonna be
the
the issue. I
problem.
mean, that's gonna be the issue.
And then now they done planned all this stuff and we're gonna be the holdup.
They'll remember next year.
I mean, yeah, they will.
I'm just saying, if you're having an event and you want to sell alcohol, then if you don't know that you have to go get a liquor license to get it okay from the state,
We just had
I
one.
pretty much don't want to give you
We just had
permission to sell alcohol.
We just had one that was
They didn't know?
me and John's district that reopened up the Laguna in the back. They didn't know.
Or the beach bums,
Yeah.
or whatever it is.
So So, I mean,
That wasn't a special event, that was just a regular license.
it's a special event. They was doing an opening weekend.
Oh, okay.
Grand opening.
So, but they thought they were riding on the old license, huh?
So say most of the time
Yeah.
people run into it not realizing they need it.
So in other words,
Me,
is it
I'm
a
fine
big
with
deal, or do
giving-
we just need to not do anything?
I'm fine with giving the clerk the authority to make the decision.
And if she
that
thinks
if
something
it's something she
stinks, call us.
thinks we need to call us on, then
Sounds like a
I
good
agree.
idea. Why don't we-
I second that.
That sounds like a great idea. Why don't
I
we
like
put it
that.
in written format where they got to make a call to the councilman, whose district they're applying for, the permit for, and if he's okay with it, just let her sign it. We'll put it in a written format, written procedure.
this is the same ones.
That's what's in your packet,
Yeah.
is a written procedure.
I know,
What
but it didn't
number
look
is
like to me that you had to call and get approval from the councilman
No,
before you
it's
gave the
a
letter.
courtesy call to the councilman
Right.
and let them know what's happening in the district.
Right. Why don't we do
All
that?
right,
Second
we
control?
want to, we want to table this and work on it a little
Do
bit.
we need an ordinance?
We need to look at it. There's no rush here, is there?
No, let's make it right. Like
Let's run
like you
this
said,
far
Jay,
without-
you don't want to build two or three times.
Would help us.
All
All
right.
right, so we'll table that.
Need a motion for that?
All right, hold on. 18's been pulled. All right, we missed something. I need to get a motion to lift the agenda again. And this is,
Motion.
Now, I mean,
yeah. So can I get a motion to lift? Mr. Garlinghouse, second by Mr. Harris. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, Mr. Bubba Harris.
I guess first we have to accept the resignation of Shane Reagan as, well, they call him a constable, justice of the peace, but he's actually just a constable for the 7th Ward. Do we need to make a motion on that to accept it?
You making a motion for that?
Yeah, to accept his resignation.
Motion by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Garlinghouse. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right, resignation accepted.
Next, we want to appoint Donna Renee McComas to take the place of Mr. Reagan. And I'm going to offer that.
All right. Motion by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Garlinghouse. Any comment from the council? Comment from the public? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. I need a motion to go back to the regular meeting. Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Avery. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. Number 19, District Attorney report.
Well, we have the district attorney here, so you might want to have a comment or say something.
I don't have any comments other than just to say I hadn't been here in a while, and it's kind of erased some of my bad memories about this.
have you ever been? No, I'm
I've been in plenty of these, but maybe
It's a
not.
different story now.
Yeah, it certainly is. So I just want to say thank you for the job that you do and the way that you're doing it. I talk to Chris pretty frequently about things, and I have trust in him, and I hope you do too. So anyway, I just want to say appreciate being here and keep up the good work. Appreciate what you do.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
All right. Number 20, Ordinance Committee. Mr. Matt, you have a date?
Talked a lot tonight. We're still working on the pond ordinance. We're going to get it right. It looks like we're going to have an ordinance committee meeting soon. I don't know what day yet. We'll talk to the members and decide what they want, and we'll have one soon. And we'll hash that ordinance out and get it right. So appreciate the opportunity to get y'all on that.
Mr. Talbot, Finance Committee.
We don't have it, we're gonna meet next meeting, the 8th? No.
Second.
Well, wait, yeah, we.
Oh, no, that's right,
moved it.
we'll meet the 22nd of March.
22nd.
And we move this one up, I remember. Okay.
All right, councilman comments. Any comments?
I had some, but I'll give y'all a break.
I just want to say good luck to all the Livingston Parish teams that are in the playoffs tonight, basketball, both boys and girls. I'd like to see them all play the state. I got a good feeling Holden's going to make it, and Albany's got a good chance. I don't know what the score is right now, but they got a good chance.
I think we got a good shot for Walker boys too.
Say a prayer for Live. We've had with Barnable, who was in the state championship game last year.
Oh, that'd be tough.
We got a motion to adjourn by Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Wascom. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?